Okay, so it's like 4:17 in the morning and I can't sleep. So video time. Yeah. Alright, so I wanted to make a video about the eclipse, and I want to touch on something that I don't think anybody else has touched on, which I find interesting. I just find interesting. It's like these two things coincide and nobody thinks they're related. So the eclipse and Donald Trump's address to the nation happened on the same day. The whole tenor of his presidency changed on the day of the eclipse. I find this particularly interesting, and one of the reasons why I find this so interesting is because we have an incredibly divided country right now. We have a situation in which we have so-called liberals and so-called conservatives being very angry at each other, and then you have the retards on both sides causing violence. It's getting painful, man, and it's crazy. It's getting even more bizarre, even crazier than it was before. So you have this eclipse, and the way I like to put it, you had millions of monkeys just staring up at the sky at the same damn thing. Okay, we are all just monkeys, and we're all just staring up at the same time, at the same goddamn, disc in the sky, or so to speak, We're all looking at the same damn star. Think about that. When has the country actually been more united than in that moment when everyone's just staring at the sun? I don't know, that's pretty significant symbology to me. And the fact is that you could only see totality in the United States. Now, I'm not saying the solar eclipse itself is important. I'm saying the results and the effects of the solar eclipse on our psyche is important. You had this solar eclipse come through the entire United States, and it cut it, like, pretty much in half. If you look at the picture, you got, basically, like, starts in Portland and kind of does this sort of slanty sort of slash through the country. And pretty much the entire country had access to at least view of the partial eclipse all over the country. So, you have 300 plus million people all able to see at least a partial eclipse all at the same time in our country. And, I see it as being a real symbol for change. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the tenor of Trump's presidency changed on the day of the eclipse. Is it that important? Well, no, but it's like a psychological primer, right? We're all just monkeys staring up at the same sun. We all have this one thing that we can unify around, and then Trump comes in with this message of unity. He goes, I'm against hate, I'm against bigotry, I disavow the KKK, the neo-Nazis, the Nazis, the David Duke, whatever, so on and so forth, to infinity. And then he goes, yeah, but I also, I'm against Antifa too. And so he goes, I'm against racism. I'm against it should not be about the color of your skin. It really should not be. And the media is going so far as to call it racial vitriol. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? You guys are going even more batshit insane than you already were. Like, seriously here, man. Like, the way that they're reacting to President Trump's unifying fucking speech, which you can disagree on Afghanistan, but the rest of it was fucking amazing. I'm serious. You listen to that. He hits on several great points. He goes, military is important. Our military members are really important. And guess what, country? We don't want to bring them home to a country that's warring with itself. I think he's trying to signal to us that the path we're going down, not a good path. It's going to lead to civil war. It's going to lead to an actual situation like you had in Nazi Germany. The way that our country looks right now with, the Antifa and the fucking neo-Nazis, luckily we're a way bigger country, so it's not going to end up that way, but it looks very much to an outside source like we look like Weimar Republic Germany before the Nazis took over, the original ones, the guy who wrote Mein Kampf, that crazy asshole. It's never going to happen here in the United States. And the reason why is there's too many sane people. And us sane people, if the neo-Nazis or Antifa actually tried to get any sort of totalitarian control, we'd probably go grab our guns and go shoot them. At some point, we'd just be like, okay, you neo-Nazis, you Antifa, you want us to keep causing us chaos in this country? Go fuck yourselves. We'll take care of this problem for you. Okay, you both are dead. We're good now. Get rid of the extremes. But it's never going to happen because our country's too big and the extremes are too small and we're too broken up as a country. We've got 50 different states that literally act like different countries in the way that they govern themselves in certain extents. We are a very unique country, I think, in that respect. That you can go state by state and have very, very, very different laws. Some states allow cannabis, for instance. Some states only allow medical cannabis, and other states don't allow cannabis at all. So in that respect, the states have a great deal of power and control over themselves, and the culture between each state is incredibly different. You go between Oregon and Washington, the culture's different. Even if you go from like Portland, Oregon out to the rural Oregon, it's gonna be a different culture. You go, like, think like Texas versus Washington or something. Like, a Texan is not gonna act like a hippy-dippy Washington stater who went to Evergreen or maybe UW or Western or something, the liberal colleges up there. They're not gonna act the fucking same, Just like the guy from Iowa is not gonna act the same as the guy from New York. It's just not going to happen. We're like 50 different countries that came together. We're like, okay, well, let's be buddies. And let's build one giant country and call it America and have an overlying American culture at the same time as our individual state cultures. That's why we work. And this is why Antifa and the fucking neo-Nazis are not gonna fucking succeed. They're not going to. We are too diverse. We are too big. There's too many of the normal people out there who look at the crazies, the violent crazies, and go, yeah, we don't want any fucking part of that. We don't want any part of that fucking asshole in Charlottesville who rammed down that innocent young woman. We don't want any part of it. We don't want any part of the fucking Antifa, breaking into ATMs, setting trash cans on fire. It's like, you guys hate trash cans. Like, what the fuck is with that? Why do you guys continuously set trash cans on fire? Or, like, you'll see videos of, like, Antifa knocking over trash cans and, like, trying to beat the shit out of the trash cans. Like, what the hell did the trash cans ever do to you? You just want to make a mess. Oh, this is a really good sort of analogy for the Antifa and the neo-Nazi libtards or whatever the fuck you want to fucking call them. They're like spoiled young children. They're like spoiled young children throwing tantrums, except for the problem is that when you get to a certain age, these tantrums are dangerous. These people have not been socialized properly. That or they're fucking retarded. They have not been civilized. They're fucking savages on both sides. And that's the thing. When you live in a civilized society, you have to understand that you must live with other people's differences. In a country that is so complex and so diverse as the United States, not just in skin tone or gender or whatever you want to call it, but in the whole concept of culture and ideas. We are so complex and so diverse. It goes way beyond neo-Nazi versus libtard. I need a better name for neo-Nazis. Nazi-tards? I don't think that doesn't quite roll off the tongue like libtard. It doesn't quite lend itself to be made fun of quite in the same way as libtard is. So that's a pretty good one. Although Antifa are more fascist. They're not even fucking liberals. Then that's a fucking ridiculous thing. These assholes, they call themselves Antifa. But they're not anti-fascists. They're fascists themselves. God, some black guy brought this up. There's this quote from some guy that he quoted. And it was basically, there are two types of fascists. Fascists and anti-fascists. Which makes perfect sense. Okay, I think I'm getting a little off my point, though, and so let me bring it back to the eclipse. You have this eclipse, it cuts through the entire United States, and you have this moment of transition where the moon is transitioning literally across the sky, across our sun, blotting out our sun, and you have an event where all people in the United States can witness this. And then you have the President of the United States come out with this unifying message. And then the media freaks out about it. I think this is a symbol of a transition from this moral panic that we've had about race for the last 10 or 15 years that have been fed by the fucking mainstream media. I think this is coming to a head at this point because things are getting so ridiculous that they're literally saying that words similar to what Martin Luther King Jr. said is racist vitriol. They're going that far as to say that they're getting to this point where literally nothing that Donald Trump says could possibly ever in any way, shape, or form be right. He could come out day of and be like, I disavow the neo-Nazi who drove down that innocent woman. Even if he had no fucking idea if it was a neo-Nazi or not. Even if he had done that, they would have still thrown up their middle finger at him. And with the eclipse and the fact that our consciousness are all sort of unified at one time for this one event, and then Donald Trump comes out with this unifying message that the media hates. They just hate this unifying message, and they paint it in any negative way that they possibly can. And I'm getting tired of listening to it, and I don't listen to a shit ton of mainstream media. I can barely stomach Fox, but even Fox Business, which is usually really, really good, is getting hard to listen to because of how strictly they judge the things that he says. It's like, oh, well, the president really missed his opportunity to bring this unifying message to the day of Charlottesville, but I watched that fucking message. He said, we are against the bigotry, we're against the violence that happened in Charlottesville, we're against all of that hatred that has no place in the United States. And this is a message he's been repeating. It's not like he's ever shared any racist vitriol. These mainstream media cucks, they try so hard to paint Donald Trump as the bad guy without any evidence whatsoever. They make themselves look like complete fools. They're retards. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just, exploding with Donald Trump is racist, so hate Donald Trump, even though there's no proof that Donald Trump is racist and he actually has a unifying message. But ignore the unifying message that could actually bring our country together and make things better. No, I want you to focus on the racism and the vitriol that not Donald Trump, but the media is spewing at you at all times. They love what happened in Charlottesville. They love it every time there's a terrorist attack. Their ratings go way up. But we're sick of it. And this has been coming for a long time. There is going to be a significant shift away from this fucking clickbait-esque race-biting bullshit. The moral panic has reached its peak, and it's going to end soon. And you can see part of it is coming in together with this whole censorship on the internet. That's part of, I think, the moral panic too, because they're trying to censor these ideas that are not PC, that are not kosher, so to speak. You know, of course they don't like the Jews because Zionism? Palestine? I'm not 100%. I think the Jews are evil now or something. And here's the fucking most ridiculous part. Like, so the left does not like Jewish people in general, although they do like it's this weird thing where you have, like, you can't support Israel, but you can't be racist against Jewish people. And yet, if you're... I don't understand how they don't consider themselves Nazis as well when they're clearly anti-Semitic. I don't get it. And the Palestinians, from my understanding, are pretty, I don't know. I don't want to speak on it because I don't actually know enough about it. But the whole point is that the American public's getting very, very sick of this whole fucking bullshit. We're getting sick of the censorship. We're getting sick of being told what we can and can't do. We're getting sick of fucking Riley Dennis spewing his hatred. Yeah, his. Because fuck him. You support Antifa? I'm not gonna fucking respect your pronouns. Like, go fuck yourself, dude. You want to pretend you're a girl? Fine. Go pretend you're a girl. And I know this is really mean, but dude, supporting Antifa? Making excuses for violence just because you don't like the rhetoric of the other side? Go fuck yourself, dude. And it shows, like, for instance, like, Riley Dennis's fucking, just ignorance of the whole situation. Antifa has been around since before the original Nazis. Yeah, that long. Antifa, in some incarnation of another, has been around since before the German Nazis. So, Riley Dennis is sitting there trying to tell you that Antifa's violence is okay because they're reacting to, like, the neo-Nazis and the fucking white supremacists and those real evil people. Hi, I haven't heard about the widespread violence being spread by white supremacists, other than the crazy shit that you guys are saying without any evidence to back it up. And here's the problem. They don't even remember where this started. It started with, you can't say these words because they're offensive. And then it became, well, you can't say these words because they might be hurtful. And then it became, you can't say these words because you're going to hurt that person. And then it became, well, you can't say these words because it is literally violence against that minority group to even mention them in any negative way, shape, or form. So when you list words as violence, and then you say it's okay to meet violence with violence, but the one side isn't using words as violence, and one group is, what you have is Antifa coming in to fight the violent words with real violence, and you don't seem to understand the difference. Antifa came before the white supremacists. I'm sorry. I can't lay this out any clearer. Antifa is a fascist movement that wants control and doesn't seem to have any real goals in the United States. And I'm going to keep my discussion limited to the United States because Antifa in Europe is a completely different animal, by the way. But I did mention where Antifa's origins came from because obviously it was shipped over to the United States at some point. Okay, same banner, same flag, same promoting and whatnot. Yeah, there's gonna be a huge turn away from this. You can see it in the whole tenor of Trump's presidency. I think you're gonna start seeing it more and more and more in the average population. People are gonna become bolder. They're gonna start being able to express their conservative opinions without feeling so much fear. You're gonna have more and more people start to speak out, like you did that guy who wrote that Diversity Manifesto, which was really a nerd who got really into the science without being an expert, pissed off some people, got fired. But he shouldn't have been fired because all he was doing was doing his best to research the things that he thought he could understand, but he also wanted to bring up ideas. Apparently at the end there was some ideas about ways that they could improve the workspace or whatever at Google, and part of it got lost because there was so much focus on the science stuff that he was trying to say. And most of the time I go, well, if it's biology, if it's science, I can get behind it. But I was listening to Liana Kay, who is one of the only feminists I will actually listen to because she's sane. She is actually sane. She seems to listen to both sides. She tries to find some sort of neutral counterpoint, but then she also takes it a little further. But she does the same form of feminism that goes, okay, well, the whole point is not to have quotas. The point is to get to a point where you're getting closer to parity with the amount of people actually graduating college with those degrees. Like if you're having 10% of the degrees coming out of college in computer science being like black people or whatever degree you want it needs to be, then you should have roughly, around 10% black people theoretically. And there's various reasons why this could be different. And it's not saying that a company is bad if it's not on parity, but that's the goal. And I don't see that as a bad thing necessarily, but I do also believe in blind hiring as well and blind admission to colleges and stuff like that, because I really do think we should be a meritocracy and not anything based on race. But I can understand the point. It's like, okay, you want to make sure you're not being discriminatory, so you want to keep an eye on those figures to make sure nobody can actually come at you with, oh, well, only 2% of your population is black, but 10% of the computer programmers leaving college are black, so what the fuck's going on there? So he gets fired, of course, and because he's going against the grain of what's going on, and maybe he deserved to be fired because, I don't know. It's not as if women can't do the computer programming or anything like that. They're more than intelligent enough. And maybe it's part social, but I don't think that's a bad thing either. It's whatever women really want to do. And then you have the added thing of, well, a lot of women do tend to decide to be stay-at-home moms and stay at home and take care of babies, and that is a realistically biological thing that women simply have to partake in if they want to have children sometimes, and there's sacrifices that have to be made on both ends, whether or not you decide you're going to go into the workforce and have children, or if you're just going to have children and you're going to sacrifice the workforce, because you're either going to be sacrificing time with your child or you're going to be sacrificing an early part of a career. And you're not going to be as successful as maybe your partner or your husband or whatever, whoever the hell is the other person. Please do not have a child without having a partner. I do not know how to say this any other way, but children are so much fucking work. You're going to want to break from that kid. Do not have a child without a partner. I don't care if you're gay or straight. Although if you're transgender, don't have children. And I say that because transgendered people, and I'm not saying this for all transgendered people, but there's a certain brand of transgendered people out there who push it. They push their transgenderism onto their children, and I view that as child abuse. Because you want things to be very clear and orderly for a child. A child cannot understand complexity and nuance the same way that an adult can. And so when you raise a child, the child needs structure. They need rules. They need clear, defined definitions and boundaries and understandings about the world. You can't be flippant with them. You can't be like, oh yeah, you can be a girl or a boy or a cat or whatever. And so that's also, I think that's also part of the moral panic, is this transgenderism stuff. It's like, it's what, 99.9% of the population is cisgendered, and then like 0.1% are trans. Or, I mean, it might be a little bit bigger, especially when you start to include, like, people who are not actually anatomically correct in terms of gender. Well, sex. They confuse all these words. And here's the other thing with these people, you know? Like, and I know I'm rambling a bit, but, like, these idiots out there, they make up all these words and then they expect you to know the words, and you're just like this fucking random ass person who's like, I just wanted to eat my chicken sandwich. So now you're telling me it's racist because black people eat chicken? I'm gonna keep eating my chicken sandwich. I'm serious, it's getting to that level where it's like, what are they not going to find racist? Even the fucking solar eclipse was racist. It was, yes. Just so you know. I don't know if you guys were aware, but if you weren't, the solar eclipse was indeed racist. It might be from the fucking neo-Nazi tards out on the other side, though, because it had something to do with Nat Turner's rebellion, I think. Anyway, long rambly sort of video about the eclipse, but I do find it interesting that Donald Trump's whole tenor for his address to the nation was on the eclipse. I think it was a very deliberate act on his part. I think he neglected to play that up for the precise reason is that it would have cheapened the experience, the whole address, if he had done that. If he had pointed out, been like, look at the sky! All you monkeys were staring at it earlier. Alright, well, we're all monkeys staring at the same fucking sky. Let's get together and be unified. And that's that's the way I put it together in my head. Because we're all just monkeys staring up at the same thing. Ooh, look at that! Oh! Ooh, look at that! But no, it's like we have this conscious awareness of each other when things like that happen, like the solar eclipse or bad things like 9/11. You have this collective consciousness that kind of comes together and unifies for a short time, and I think Donald Trump did a really good job playing off that energy, and I think the moral panic's gonna start to dissipate now.